All right, time to talk about the AFC North. Tom Voort, Troy Aikman. And Troy, you know, this division seems to come down every year to the Steelers and the Ravens. Bengals are looking pretty good. Is it Steelers versus Ravens, or what do you think?
Well, this is a great division. There's no doubt. I mean, it always has been the black and blue division from the old days, and I don't think this year's going to be any different. Last year there were 3 teams that made it into the playoffs. It speaks volumes for any division when that happens. And I like the Steelers. I like the Ravens. You know, there's nothing not to like. They're tough-minded teams. They're old-school teams in the way that they play. They're very well coached. I don't think, you know, this year will be a lot different in that regard. But as far as, you know, who's going to emerge from that division as the winner, I like the Bengals. I really do. I was impressed with what they were able to do last year with a rookie quarterback in Andy Dalton, his second year, a full off season to go through, a defense that played well. I like that group. I think that they're going to have a heck of a season.
It seems like Marvin Lewis is a kind of maybe an underrated head coach. I am impressed with him as a head coach.
Well, I am too, and I think that he's been fortunate, I guess, in the patience from the ownership. I mean, he's been there a long time. I think he's an excellent coach as well. I think there's been a lot of circumstances as to why that team hasn't been as consistent, you know, during his tenure. But I thought a lot of him as an assistant coach, as a defensive coordinator, and by and large, he's done a good job there in Cincinnati as well. And I think the fact that they were patient, I think now that's starting to pay some dividends as it did last year. And I believe that it will as we move into this season.
Talk to me a little about the Ravens and Joe Flacco. He's played very, very well in his career. Does he need to take it to another level, or is he at the place where they can? And I mean, they were in position very close to Super Bowl last year.
Well, they were, and I know Joe Flacco has, you know, probably been underappreciated by the Ravens fans. I mean, he's commented on that. He talked a little bit about it last year, and that's a difficult situation. I mean, let's be honest. It's a team that has been overshadowed by their defense for a long time, and rightfully so. I mean, it's been a great defensive unit. The defense is starting to get a little bit older in some areas. They like to run the ball. What's going to happen with Ray Rice and his contract? But I think Joe Flacco is a really good quarterback. And as far as saying, you know, does he have to take it to the next level? He's won playoff games already.
Yep.
He started his career out outstanding, you know, his first couple of seasons, and then, you know, in the postseason. And he is like some other quarterbacks in the league that we'll kind of get to, that that next level essentially is winning a Super Bowl.
Right. And there's not much else they're going to do.
That's right. And until you do that, then people are always saying, yeah, but, and and so he's going to be just fine. And I do believe that as that defense continues to age, then
that was my next question.
Yeah, there's going to be more and more of a burden.
Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, like how young can these guys stay?
Well, it really is remarkable. You know what a guy like Ray Lewis has been able to do. I mean, I played against him back in 2000.
Yeah, which is crazy.
You know,
right?
I mean, that was a career ago. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, and he's played at such a high level. He's taken great care of his body. He reported to camp, lost a lot of weight this year, got a lot smaller from where he had been, and so
guy's a football player, right?
Yeah, well, and he's a pro. You know, I mean, he's a pro's pro, and does what he has to do to get ready to play. And then of course Ed Reed, and you know the things that, you know, he's as good as anybody in the league back there, and he's a real ball hawk, and so that defense has dictated a lot of their success. They'll still depend on those guys. But I could see where offensively, you know, Joe will be asked to do a little bit more than not that he's not asked to do a lot always, but you know, that they may have to rely more on his ability to throw the ball than they have in the past.
And speaking of quarterbacks, you think of Ben Roethlisberger, and it just feels like he's been beat up the last couple of years. They put some focus off season and picking up some new offensive linemen. Does it come down to the Steelers to just keeping this guy upright and seeing what he can do?
Well, that's a big part of it, and you know, he got hurt in training camp already. You know, has missed a little bit of time because of that. Because of his style, he's going to take a lot of hits. You know, he creates plays. He makes a lot of big plays down the field. You know, I think in a lot of ways for the Steelers, you know, when you talk about, hey, you know, some of the newcomers around the division and in the league, that Todd Haley is going to be a real key for that team. Not obviously a newcomer. I mean, he's an outstanding coach. He was an offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals when they went to the Super Bowl, and then of course head coach for the Chiefs. But him coming in and replacing Bruce Arians, who Roethlisberger had a nice relationship with. I appreciate the dynamic of that quarterback offensive coordinator relationship. I know Todd Haley well. He's a fiery guy. He's an excellent coach. I would think that would suit Ben Roethlisberger very well, but there's been a lot of attention placed on that relationship, and I think it'll be important for them to start off the year well.
And lastly, in Cleveland, you got a couple new guys in Trent Richardson and Brandon Weeden. What can fans reasonably expect out of those guys?
I think that I think they're a couple years away because of the youth that you just said. They were already a relatively young team, and then of course there's not many 28-year-old rookie quarterbacks.
I know. How do you do that?
But it's not as big of a leap of faith as maybe it once was, because quarterbacks are playing longer than they once did. I mean, it's not unrealistic to think that he could have a 10-year career even coming in at that age. And obviously a tremendous talent, a real athletic guy with a great arm. And so I'm anxious to see where they're at a couple years from now. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I like Weeden. I like Trent Richardson. I'm hopeful that the injury that Trent Richardson had is minor as the team is portraying it as. But I believe that's going to be a really fun team to watch in the years to come, even this year. But I don't see them contending in that tough division that they're in.
How important is it to have a feature back like that you can just give the ball to 25, 30 times a game?
Well, there's so many teams now that are going, they want two guys. They don't want just one guy. And of course, I played with a team that really just had one guy. There were a lot of times we didn't really have a backup to Emmitt Smith, and he was just so durable that we took it all for granted. But the league's different now. I don't minimize the significance of having a real workhorse that can run the ball, but any of the teams that we talk about of the 32, if they're going to make it and go all the way, it's going to have more to do, I believe, with the quarterback than it is the running back.
There you go. Our look at the AFC North. For Troy Aikman, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.